Alrighty, before this fucking commentary begins and everything, I might as well put in the content warnings just, so that way if anything triggers you, like, in the literal sense, for your PTSD, then you can, click off the video and take care of yourself like you should. So, content warning for discussions of pedophilia, grooming, rape apologia, V Omega, Ray Kohai, and as well as me dropping several KYS statements in use of the R slur. If you do not like any of these, hey, again, like I said earlier, take care of yourself first. I'm literally just some fucking nobody on YouTube. One more thing before going into this commentary, unless if it wasn't obvious to you enough, I don't associate with this fuckhead anymore because, he's actually just a disgusting piece of shit. Anyway, there goes all your preamble, all your funnies. Let's actually fucking get into this. Alrighty, some funny context for the wonderful, lovely audience. So for our first video we'll be covering, it's actually going to be the smaller part of this entire video. That being his video on Marina Shut Up, where she decided to do a video on how certain movie tropes actually can be veered towards an internalized misogynistic and very sexist direction. Gil over here decided it was a great fucking idea to basically dismiss that. Now, there were some decently cogent points when it came to just how certain things worked in narratives. However, towards the end of the commentary is where I'm mostly going to be focusing on, because that kind of just puts on his full kind of sexism on display in all of its sheer fucking grossness. Now, as for the second video we're going to be covering in this triple entendre, we need to look no further than his video on Riley J. Dennis, where he decided to lecture somebody about due process when it came to, I don't fucking know, a rapist being in the Supreme Court. And lastly, the piece de resistance, or more aptly, le piece de retardation. Is specifically a addendum video that was in regards to how he represented himself and his actions in his apology to Ephraim video, which specifically he was apologizing to Ephraim in video form for, I don't know, making false grooming accusations out of spite because he didn't like him. Yes, I'm being dead ass. So, there's all the context you need, fuckos. Let's actually get into the full commentaries now.
I think that's really frustrating about this trope is that it's not just something that happens in fictional narratives, but it's something you see reflected in real everyday life. Equally qualified or more qualified women are passed up for equally qualified or less qualified dudes simply because they're assumed to be more competent. And there have even been studies done where there are two identical applications, only difference is the gender of the name, and the one with the man's name gets more callbacks than the one with the woman's name, simply because he's judged to be more competent and valuable and worthwhile.
Which is why we have terms like mansplain to reflect that train of thought.
No, it isn't, you fucking moron! The actual definition is as follows, and both the Merriam and Oxford dictionaries will be referenced here because I'd like to cover all my bases. Merriam-Webster says, to explain something to a woman in a condescending way that assumes she has no knowledge about the topic. Oxford Dictionary says, of a man to explain something to somebody, typically a woman, in a manner regarded as condescending or patronizing. What you're spreading here is either A, misinformation, or B, given the route you've taken in the future and even in some of your other comms, a flat-out fucking lie. Because you fail to mention that the simplified explanation of something is actually in a patronizing and sexist manner towards women. You're basically trying to flip this on its head by making it seem like the term is actually used to degrade men, even though it's meant to describe something that is typically done as a form of discrimination towards women. Again, you're fucking stupid.
Employers only have a limited amount of positions to fill in, so they choose their employees based on performance more than anything else. Although things like prior work experience and formal education make those things more likely, especially for specialized high-paying positions, the only thing that really matters is how well a person can perform in and adapt to their environment. It happens in the military, public schools, government facilities, construction sites, transportation workers, and many other parts of our infrastructure. People are generally hired based on how well they perform instead of who they are as people. At least, in theory, this is what happens.
So, in other words, a complete contradiction to what you just fucking said, you retard. Like, you had one fucking job. Don't try to state something as objective fact when you're saying, oh, women and men are only recruited into employment because of their merit and all this. Never mind the fact that you fucking said that's how it would work in theory, you know, on fucking paper. And while we're here, I might as well point out something that actually does bother me as well with this overall point, rather than the contradiction itself. And that problem is pretty simple to actually address, and that's like, if human beings were really just, you know, hired based on merit rather than, say, their creed or their sex or whatever the fuck, then why are there so many fucking studies showing that the internalized misogyny that does unfortunately exist in our world still to this day is, in fact, in no uncertain fucking terms, affect who gets hired based off of both their biological sex and or gender? I will link to several different articles that actually cover this topic with the grace and eloquency I could never honestly, given my foul mouth. I would honestly suggest you give them a read. They could word themselves better than I ever could, and probably have better on-the-ground knowledge of the statistics and such than I really do. My point still stands though. Fuck off, Gilberto.
Affirmative action is clearly doing away with that. Sorry to burst your bubble.
What affirmative fucking action are you talking about? Are you smoking crack? Are you fucking high? Don't you put up your goddamn fucking condescension rant Sona pose 558 on me when you can't even pull up any bit of bill or legislation that prevents any type of, like, you know, gender discrimination when it comes to employers hiring. And no, before you give me the fucking argument of, well, actually, Jester the Moon, I've never seen it at all. You must be making it up for the sake of the argument. Except I'm very clearly fucking not. The problem when it comes to employers hiring people these days, when it comes to them being sexist and misogynistic pieces of shit, is more or less the funny of them keeping their bigotry a secret, and more or less being more on the down low with it as opposed to just screaming out, I hate women. Like, good lord, get with the fucking times. Like, I'm aware this was made in 2016, but even then, it still kind of highlights the sheer ignorance that we're seeing here, because even then, it was made clear as day that, oh, I don't fucking know, a lot of these bigoted beliefs were actually hidden through dog whistles or done in a more clandestine fashion, because if they were to actually do so, they would get jumped immediately. That's, after all, the reason why the alt-right pipeline exploded the way it did in 2016 and 2017, because it was able to insidiously sneak a lot of its, like, bigoted and hateful rhetoric into things that nerds were just complaining about when it came to, say, their nostalgia of a series or perhaps their own opinions on it. And then they were able to successfully muddy the waters in order to basically make it seem like anyone left of them or whatnot seemed like they were crazy because they were able to obscure it in 500 different fucking meanings and contexts. Quite honestly, you're one of the ugliest examples of chuds falling for this type of shit.
Not really.
I think what's dangerous about this trope in media is that it's so common that it's basically rendered invisible and we don't even notice it when it happens. I want to bring Star Wars into this just because I want to. In the new Star Wars film in which the Force is awakened, people were literally complaining about the female protagonist Rey being able to use the Force and wield a lightsaber too quickly and becoming skilled at it in a way that was unbelievable, even though that is literally the Star Wars franchise, and many other male characters have done that, and it's never questioned. But when it's a woman, it's unbelievable, because how could she naturally be good at things?
Isn't that what the movie Mulan did to show that female characters can be skilled at things too? Not to mention, the only people who really complained about Rey's role were just people who cared way too much about the franchise and only saw it in nostalgic tunnel vision. These are people who were in the minority that took the film way too seriously, though here you're treating them like they're the majority. You've just made it seem like everyone reacted this way, when really it was just only a vocal minority speaking out about it.
Fuck you mean everybody? She just said people, which could literally just mean a, you know, a minority like you were saying. Like, come the fuck on. Let's not do this dishonest framing bullshit. I was Point Lucy here because I only realized this while editing, but, you know. Gil, you were able to recognize the fact that she didn't say everybody. You're fucking stupid. The fact that you recognize her wording doesn't explicitly say everybody makes you look even more dishonest here because you're treating it as if she did when she objectively didn't say that. I love how you basically just tried to make the point, you know, that, oh, it's not everybody, even though it never was. Holy shit, you're dumb.
About it. Making flagrant hyperboles by inflating minute details to make it seem like you have a point doesn't make your point any stronger. If anything, like a balloon, it makes it more likely to implode on itself.
Irony. Just sheer fucking irony, because that's literally what you did. What the fuck are you talking about? You literally just artificially inflated the inflammatoriness of her point by basically stating that she was saying that everyone was treating The Force Awakens and Rey like this. Never mind the fact that she only said she heard people talking about it, which would infer that it wouldn't literally be everybody. Otherwise, if it was, she would. You mentally stunted fucking halfway.
Haven't you learned anything from what happened to Gup till 89?
No, fucking no. You're really gonna compare somebody who just made a video covering how there's a lot of internalized misogyny in media to fucking Gup till 89, a guy who made a top 10 hottest Sonic characters list that had featured children. You are comparing that to a fucking pedophile. What the fuck is wrong with you?
So frustrating. Just so frustrating. It just seems like men are assumed to be competent until proven otherwise, whereas women are assumed to be incompetent until proven otherwise. And even the women who are really competent and skilled and talented, they just don't have that special quality that men seem to do.
Again, we apparently have mansplained in the dictionary now because of people like you who think that everything is sexist just because you think it is. Also, let me tell you how frustrating it is to be confronted with the stereotype that men are violent and dangerous, and women are so meek and kind and gentle and unassuming. Because of this stereotype, we have the double standard in which women feel like they can beat the crap out of men all they want, but if a man does the same, he'll be faced with near excoriation.
Man, you really have me convinced there, except for the fact that dual arrests exist, you fucknugget. Same thing with dual sentencing if both partners are found guilty for domestic abuse, you fucking moron.
Let's also not forget the time when a man reported having a female stalker to the police, only to have the police not take his report seriously until it was almost too late.
Again, more misrepresentations because you need it to suit your narrative. Come on, man, this is pathetic. Basically what I'm getting at is the fact that police never take any form of stalking seriously, like, in the history of fucking ever. Like, trust and believe, I've had to do this before, but like, it's incredibly difficult to report. They basically don't do shit unless if something's already happened, which by then, they're just fucking useless. Like what could be inferred from the beginning of this interjection, this is regardless of gender or creed. Fuck off.
How do you explain something completely biased like that? Don't pretend men aren't faced with double standards either. 'Cause they are. And that's the way this Roadrunner runs. As many people have pointed out, the way we treat people in this society has quickly gone out of hand. However, it's not the people that some people seem to think. It's people who have historically been in higher power and oppressed the people who are now getting the privilege they claim the historical oppressors still have.
Okay, well then my question would be, if both men and women are already on the equal footing since they're being given the same privileges that men had by your own words and your own admission, wouldn't they just be fucking equal, you tard? Like, good lord, do you not know how to contradict yourself, like, at fucking all? Also, I'm really not a fan of this whole reversal of oppression when, in reality, women have been oppressed and continue to be oppressed since, like, the beginning of fucking time. Like, to put in perspective just how fucked the oppression is towards women, you should know that women weren't considered people until 1875 after the fucking Supreme Court ruling of Minor v. Happersett. And mind you, this is the United States. In Canada, it took until 1918, which is fucking crazy if you think about it. Because yes, both of these rulings and whatnot happened, what, like 100 plus years ago? But even then, It might seem like a lot of time to you in the present, but in the grand scheme of things, that's like barely 2 seconds. What I'm getting at is this reversal of oppression and whatnot is complete and utter fucking bullshit when you really rub two brain cells together, and to be honest, I think you're just trying to say in a more quiet way, I don't like how women are actually trying to climb up to the top of the world and they're getting really close. My name is Spaceguru5. Like, guaranteed, if a woman actually fucking showed the same energy you did here, yeah, you would be fucking clutching your pearls, screaming, sexist, sexist! Which, to me, sounds really fucking ironic given your whole crusade against feminism and anti-SJWs around this time. Like, oh my god. Like, not only are you contradicting yourself, you're also just a fucking hypocrite.
I see this as a major problem because it's only inflammatory and based on emotion.
Even though Marina wasn't demonizing men and was only pointing out a very, like, misogynistic type of trope within media, or just something that happens in real life that's also, like, very misogynistic, with the whole, like, job opportunities thing, and seeing who would get called back based on, you know, if they were a man or not, like, it's not that hard to wrap your brain around.
As you might be able to tell, the theme for these commentaries is about people who think that equality means favoring some groups and demonizing others while still playing the victim. Now, while I know that the system isn't always perfect, I know that some facilities are discriminatory in the way that most people seem to think. However, the solution isn't to place the discrimination in the opposite direction. The solution is to just move on from the past and work towards a future that's beneficial for everybody.
Ah, yes, because totally not having conversations about the atrocities and other things committed against women and or other minorities is totally the way we should go. We should just ignore every single bad thing that has ever happened because a conversation was never given to any of them. Great logic, by the way, Spaceguru5. Really just fucking endearing. No, you're retarded! Because if we were to move on as a society, we need to have these conversations that were meant to happen, but were shut down based on, well, whoever they were or represented. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Otherwise, if we don't have them, guess what's gonna happen? A lot of resentment's gonna bubble up and 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 then explode. It's always what fucking happens. Like, why do you think riots exist, for instance? Like, Martin Luther King said it best. Riots are the language of the unheard, aka the very same people who were never given the conversation that they wanted to try and fix things. And to try to how to learn to be better and not repeat those mistakes. No, you're the pseudo-intellectual type, so honestly, I'm surprised that the phrase, if we ignore history, we're doomed to repeat it, isn't in your back pocket.
Thinking backward is not the way forward, and until we stop thinking backward, we're only going to be going backward. It's time to shift the gears in the drive and get out of the parking lot. That's about it for today, folks. I'm Spaceguru5, and I'll see y'all later.
You should have been dropped in the fucking abortion bucket.
Hey guys, Spaceguru5 here. Well, it's been a while since I've covered something politically charged, hasn't it? This time we'll be talking about rape allegations. Yeah, strap yourselves in, folks. We're about to enter very dangerous territory. Viewer discretion is highly advised. Before I begin, I'd like to introduce you to the subject of today's commentary. Enter Riley J. Dennis, a political commentator who champions the LGBT and fights for their rights, even though for the most part things are pretty much resolved now.
Fuck you mean, things are resolved? Are you retarded? Like, you yourself are queer and you should know that queer people still face heavy politicization and heavy fucking, like, discriminatory violence towards them. Are you daft? Let me tell you something. I've been fucking hate crimed in my life. So to see you fucking sit here and go, actually, there's no problem here at all, when there still very much clearly is, just goes to show how fucking ignorant and repugnant you are. Especially when Trump had a ban for trans people serving in the military.
There's a bit more to her than that, of course. She's also the type of LGBT person who go out of their way to force sexualities into places they don't belong. Like, for example, when she talked about how Mario Tennis characters are queer. Bit of a weird choice.
Yeah, and that video is literally just headcanon. She's not saying that they actually are, you're just fucking stupid. Like, I'm sorry, why do you fucking care about this shit? It's such an inconsequential and irrelevant thing to the video you're covering. Which, in the sheer irony of you also being a fellow queer person, this is very, 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 very queerphobic and just fucking stupid. I've seen self-hatred, but this is just something else, man.
There. She also makes videos about how white genocide isn't a thing and how polyamorous relationships should be more acceptable by today's society.
Alright, let's do this point by point, because Jesus fucking Christ, that was a lot of information to just put right then and there. Especially, again, when these two things aren't fucking relevant! Especially when this is blatant well poisoning coming from a very weirdly bigoted angle. So, the first point that I have here is the whole thing about white genocide and whatnot. Yes, are you implying that it does exist, you fucking moron? Because white genocide doesn't fucking exist, and it's actually a well-known conspiracy theory made by white supremacists. More particularly, the theory is called the Great Replacement Theory. The theory was created by Renaud Camus, a racist author who created a book called Le Grand Remplacement, which, the book basically talks about how white people are being oppressed and replaced by the Muslims in France with the destruction of French culture and civilization. Oh no! Meanwhile, French culture is fine, and people of this guy's ilk are clearly just racist, xenophobic bastards. Of course, when one fucking white supremacist starts fucking squawking, the rest of them start coming over to the fucking pile of garbage and start pecking at it. And of fucking course, Camus' ideas got basically taken by other white supremacists and applied wherever they saw fit. Like with black people, Jewish people, Asian people, Middle Eastern people, you know, just a lot of the racial fucking minorities that they decided to target because they felt threatened. Despite the fact that, you know, there's the word minorities in racial minorities, which they only cover a certain small percentage of, like, the actual populace in, say, America or most Western countries. So either you better clarify with an addendum statement about this particular comment, and really just this entire video, or, you're a fucking white supremacist. Second point, why the fuck do you care about polyamory? And to basically reiterate what my hubby Sparrow said, Gil, it wouldn't even be so much as a fucking matter that concerns you, given the fact that you get no fucking bitches.
Yeah, we're in for a far leftist train wreck today, folks.
Really fucking weirdly bigoted angles again. Like, I find it strange that you're going, well, this is a fucking leftist train wreck, Never mind the fact that you were in a community full of leftists and, you know, a lot of queer people. You paste-eating troglodyte.
I should also point out that one of her suggested channels is Marina Shut Up, somebody I covered 2 years ago, who is yet another member of the Feminist Freak Squad. Just pointing that out.
Yes, the very same Marina Shut Up that you compared to a fucking pedophile. Kill yourself!
Today I'll be talking about a video by Riley discussing why she believes survivors and those who accuse Brett Kavanaugh of rape. The whole Kavanaugh brouhaha is too long and complicated to be explained in this particular video, but I'll try to give a synopsis of what's happened so far. Brett Kavanaugh was being considered for confirmation as Supreme Court Justice, which is one of the highest judicial positions in the entire country. However, as this appointment was considered, a number of accusations came out against him from women claiming he raped them, most notably Dr. Blasey Ford. These accusations were debated by the Senate and by the wider masses. Some wanted him to be disqualified, others wanted him to be appointed, and accusatory opinions about both sides ensued. This led to nasty, widespread bickering on both sides, with either opinion being associated with certain sectors of the political spectrum. This was yet another instance of needless politicization of a major issue in a decade replete with such instances. What came out of this incessant bickering? Well, you'll find out as I dissect Riley's video. Let's tune in and start slicing away. I should let you guys know right now that this video consists of a lot of pointless rambling, which is why I'll end up skipping a lot here. I'll still be aiming to address her main points directly regardless. That said, on with the commentary.
Good lord, your fucking pacing sucks so much shit. Oh my god. It took you 1 minute and 40 seconds to actually get to the proper context segment of your commentary, rather than just weirdly spouting your bigoted beliefs about people and just your overall grossness.
For a while, I had no idea what I could add to this conversation or how I could make a video on this topic, because it seems very obvious to me that we should believe Brett Kavanaugh's accusers and not appoint him to the Supreme Court. End of story. Like, that doesn't take several minutes to explain. His accusers' accounts are highly credible.
So you're saying that we should just assume these allegations to be true without any due process or trial? No, dude. There's perfectly good reasons why the United States justice system operates on the innocent until proven guilty notion and not the other way around, especially with the climate left in the wake of Me Too. However, I'll get into those as this video goes along. For now, just know that if we took all allegations at face value without questioning it, then hordes of innocent people will be punished just because somebody said they should be. That isn't justice, that's insanity.
Oh, she's just telling the audience to believe the victims because victims aren't usually taken seriously at all by the courts, by the judicial system. And I should know, I've literally been in the courts. I visited there for like the criminal courts and whatnot. And trust me, I've seen trials where they are literally not taken seriously at fucking all. Don't even just count my fucking experience either of witnessing this. Like, what about the literal thousands upon millions of people that get failed by the judicial system every fucking day? Or either their rapist gets to walk free, or their rapist barely even gets any time in fucking prison. Also, the reason why Riley was even just saying, oh, I don't fucking know, believe the victims, is because she says that they're actually a credible source. Not because, oh, just believe them because I said so. No, that's not insanity, as you call it. You wanna know what is insanity, however? Shit you've said here, and the shit you will say in the rest of this fucking video when it comes to due process and just condescending to somebody trying to support the victims, and just to victims in general, and even to me too.
Fuck all the way off.
At this point, when I'm recording this, 5 different women have come forward, though that may have changed by the time this video goes live. The Me Too movement has been happening for long enough that folks should know by now to believe survivors. So what else is there to say? I'm not really sure there is much.
Well, here's something to be said. While the Me Too movement has succeeded in bringing much-needed attention to survivors of rape, sexual abuse, and sexual harassment, it's also been used by opportunists to defame people who never committed such acts to begin with. If you don't believe me, look at what happened to Toby Turner, aka Tobuscus. He was accused of rape by his ex-girlfriend, and just about everyone believed it, thus damaging his reputation. However, later on, he made a video explaining that the accusation was bullshit. Regardless of whether or not you believe him, you can't deny that things like this can and certainly do happen.
So, post point, because I actually forgot to put this as an actual interjection, so my bad. But in all seriousness though, fuck you mean whether you believe him or not. Either it's bullshit or it isn't. Good lord, stop fucking contradicting yourself, you fucking tard.
See also Gordon Ramsay.
Ah yes, because the fucking Gordon Ramsay allegations are a completely fair thing to bring up as a slight against me too. Especially when these were allegations brought up out of fucking spite, and weren't even true.
Empowerment should mean that your voice gets heard just as much as the others, not that your voice shall overpower the others. Learn the difference now, or stay quiet.
No one's voice is overpowering the others, you're just retarded. However, considering that you don't know the difference, how about this?
You shut up!
Because your lack of education and knowledge on the topic is really starting to fucking show here, and I'm getting progressively more pissed off with you. Because the whole purpose of Me Too wasn't just for people to, oh, I don't know, scream over each other and try to have their voice heard more than the others. No. The whole point of the movement was so that way, you know, survivors and victims who were not taken fucking seriously could feel a little bit of comfort that, oh, I don't fucking know, that there are more people like them and that they're not alone. You fucking dipshit.
Also, if you're not so sure you can add much to this discussion, then why the hell are you even talking about it?
I don't know, maybe to speak up on the thoughts of it, given that it's a subject that she cares about. Like, genuinely, are you retarded? The answer is yes, by the way. I mean, you can clearly see what the point he's making, but let's move on.
I do think it's really important to talk about this stuff and to voice our support for survivors, which is why I'm making this video.
Oh, so basically you're just making this video to cash in on it under the pretense of spreading awareness. Good to know. If that seems a bit harsh to say, just look at your lack of sources and your overwhelming presence of social media links. Yeah, that says just about everything for me.
So you just play the clip right after being like, well, if you said you had nothing to fucking contribute to the whole thing by speaking on it, then why are you speaking on it at all? My god, you're retarded. Secondly, oh my fucking god, Gil. Like, no way are you seriously doing that. Oh, well, you're just doing this for clout. You're just doing this for clout because you're a clout chaser. Never mind the fact that, you know, her coverage was just to tell people to believe the survivors of it, given the fact that they're credible, and to also give, you know, her fucking thoughts on the situation. Oh my god, almost like what you're doing here in this fucking commentary here. Like, yes, you may actually list your sources in the description and all that, but, like, I think if we're just speaking out our opinions, you know, such as believing the survivors, because quite honestly, I think you should, that's my opinion, I don't think that requires 1,500 billion sources, you pedantic fuck.
I try to make videos about topics like these educational and informational and sum up everything you need to know about this topic. But this time, more Kavanaugh accusers are coming forward every day. Senate Republicans keep finding new ways to be shitty.
Hold the phone. You're making seditious remarks about senators of a political party? What basis do you have for this? Obviously you don't have any, because there are certain Republican senators who aren't 100% trusting of Kavanaugh either. Just look at Senator Jeff Flake, for example. He agreed to have the FBI investigate Kavanaugh when the Democrats put that prospect on the table. He also stated he wouldn't be voting to confirm Kavanaugh until the investigation was conducted. If he really wanted to keep things covered up, he wouldn't have agreed to such an investigation in the first place. Hell, even President Trump gave the order to conduct it just a short while later. It's egregiously unfair of you to demonize an entire political party when there are actual Republicans, both in and out of office, that agree that the claims against Kavanaugh should be investigated further.
Okay, so if this is a over-politicization of everything, then how come both parties are willing to, conduct investigations against them? It just sounds a little bit strange, given your premise at the beginning. Oh wait, I know why.
'Cause you constantly fucking contradict yourself, you fucking twat.
Like, wouldn't this basically just be, both sides coming together to try to solve the problem? Of course, you're not gonna realize that because you're a fucking moron, but I digress. So while we're on the subject of, contradictions and all that shit, how come when you say several Republican senators, you only bring up Jeff Flake and then Donald Trump, somebody who isn't the fucking senator? Now, mind you, I understand why you did, because, he was the president, but still, I feel like if you were really gonna try and be all gung-ho about sources, I feel as if, it would be very important to, I don't fucking know, source more than one US senator that happens to be Republican, because then that would actually prove your fucking point instead of you sounding like you're just talking out of your ass with only one example. Also, Gil, since while we're on the topic of, fucking FBI investigations and whatnot, yes, the FBI was going to have such a conclusive investigation in 3 to 4 days with over 4,000 fucking reports coming in about Kavanaugh. Not to mention that a majority of those reports and corroborating evidence and testimonies were being actively seized by the Trump administration in the White House, preventing it from getting any further coverage and investigation from the FBI, ergo leading Kavanaugh to basically get in no problem. And before you will try to be like, oh, where's your source on that? I'll be putting that in the description, you fuckwad.
Eat shit and fucking die.
Okay, don't think I didn't fucking notice this at all. Like, come on, in and out of office? Yes, while people out of office can still have their opinion and hold them in public, however, I think their voice in it matters significantly less since, the people in office trying to call for an investigation would probably more likely have, that investigation carried out because, they're in office. Like, damn, Gil, are you not familiar with the whole thing of the call is not left up to the interlopers? That's a rhetorical question, of course, or more like a rhetorical question, because let's be fucking real here, no you don't, because that's why your bitch ass is actually making this fucking video.
If you'd rather generalize people based on what political party they associate with, then why should I give your statements any attention?
By the time this video goes up, things could have changed a lot. So I don't think I have anything to add there, but I think the reason I want to make this video and the main point of this video isn't necessarily to tell you everything about the Kavanaugh situation. It's just to voice my support for survivors.
Because people can just voice their opinions without going over literally every single fucking minute little detail. Like, you could be asked on whether, say, whether the color blue was your fucking favorite, and you wouldn't have to fucking source a million billion reasons as to why you think blue is not your favorite color. Like, good lord, you're stupid. Yeah, but sometimes it's just nice to fucking hear that somebody supports, victims of sexual assault and sexual abuse. I myself am one. However, what would silence even do? It literally would just do nothing. It wouldn't show any support. It would just be completely fucking neutral. But I get what your position is. You just want people to fucking stay quiet because, you're a rape apologist. Is it really subtle if she's still just shitting on Republican senators anyway? No, I think that very thing could apply to you, actually, so,
Shut the fuck up, kill yourself, I don't care how you do it, just fucking do it.
Right now, it sure seems like there's a lot stacked against sexual assault survivors. Republicans are telling them that they're never to be believed. Tons of people are supporting those Republicans.
I really detest how so many issues get turned into non-existent Democrats versus Republicans drivel, because doing so prevents real discourse from happening and thus enables people to be discursive about important issues. It's exceedingly dangerous to overly generalize the opposition in such a way, because you risk attacking straw men and thus making yourself look less credible.
Never mind that the discourse in question is about, the Republican and or Democrat parties, you fucking moron. And while we're at it too, Republicans have always been against the side of sexual assault survivors, because if they really were with them, then tell me, how the fuck did Roe v. Wade get overturned? Now, I understand that this was in 2019, however, anti-abortion laws had been put into place in several states during Trump's presidency, at least in his first one. And mind you, these sort of laws being passed are quite frankly stacked against survivors of abuse. And furthermore, you really only need to just look at the fucking wiki page that details the history of Trump's sexual misconduct to know that, yeah, Republican rapists will want to fucking protect each other. Adding on to the point that I said earlier about his administration obstructing the investigation into Kavanaugh, it makes even further sense why he would do so, because, two birds of a feather flock together. Or, in this fucking case, two predators drive in the van together. Because they know what happens if they don't try to defend each other. It's just all gonna fall down like a fucking house of cards, or like a bunch of dominoes. Not like it already hasn't been though, right?
Political discourse should never be a matter of us versus them. It should always be a matter of, let's work together to find a solution we can agree with. And what do you know? Both Democratic and Republican senators are agreeing to investigate the rape allegations further before voting to confirm Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. If you can't be bothered to be mature about serious discussions, then you just flat out shouldn't be adding to or starting any serious discussions. Plain and simple.
Complete and total fucking irony.
So, I believe Dr. Blasey Ford, I believe Deborah Ramirez, I believe Julia Swetnick, and I believe the other women accusing Kavanaugh of sexual assault. I believe survivors. It's clear from these accusations that Kavanaugh has a history of assaulting women. These women have no reason to come forward and put their well-being in danger if he did nothing to them.
But the thing is, we don't know whether or not any of these women are lying. At the moment, their accusations are just allegations. They haven't been proven to be true or false yet, so we can't definitely say for sure whether or not Kavanaugh even did anything to them. If he did do something, then sure, he should be dealt with accordingly. However, if he didn't do anything to them, then you're just gonna look like a total asshole for immediately siding with liars.
Hey, but much like said earlier in this fucking commentary, she mentions the fact that they are credible sources. Don't you think that perhaps showing your support for survivors, especially when they are
Fucking credible.
would make sense, especially since she's already made it clear that this video is 1, her thoughts on the matter, and 2, why she has her thoughts in the first place. Ergo, why she would believe them. Ergo,
Knowing the fucking facts.
Also, if people are wrong about allegations and all this other shit, you realize they can just, take back what they said and just fucking apologize to the person? Like, it's not that hard. Cause, after all,
You should know what you did to Ephraim later on. Accusing him of being a sexual fucking predator. Never mind the fact that he wasn't. You fucking piece of shit.
cause it's always motherfuckers like you who will just ramble on here about due process and we're not sure. Oh, but when it comes to somebody you don't like,
Oh, then it's fair fucking game, isn't it?
oh, and no, don't give me the fucking response of, oh, I do care, cause no, Gil, you don't care. You never cared, and I can tell you why you never cared, and that'll be in the next fucking part of this commentary, where I cover the fucking part where you decided to do a addendum statement about your self-cruelty, even though, to be honest, what you did was actually evil. But I won't get ahead of myself. We'll get to that part when we do.
And I'm not going to be fucking nice.
I'm not saying that you can't or shouldn't support rape victims, but at the same time, you shouldn't automatically take what they say at face value. Crocodile tears exist, and so laws against slander and defamation exist. Basically, just be careful who you trust.
Okay, quick question here. Just one. how in the motherfuck would they be slandering them if they were actual victims coming out here? And no, I know you've gotten about this whole thing of like, oh, well, they might have an incentive to try and make a false allegation because, oh, it would get them like a bunch of attention and money and all this other stuff. No, the fuck it wouldn't, okay? Coming out about your abuse in any way, especially in a, like, instance of, like, sexual abuse,
It's not fun. Let me tell you something about that. It is not fun to fucking deal with every single person scrutinizing and fucking analyzing your shit, even though you know it's fucking true.
I really hope that, you know, one day you just get a fucking sewing needle and you just fucking sew that diarrhea-clogged fucking fecal factory of a mouth the fuck up. 'Cause I am getting very tired of your stupid ass.
Dr. Blasey Ford has already had to move to stay safe from death threats after coming forward. His accusers even have the President of the United States against them. I wouldn't wish that.
Yes, she does mean the same President of the United States, you fucking retard. Furthermore, may I point out the fact that that same President of the United States, you know, Donald Trump, also, you know, had his administration just fucking, like, obstruct the investigation of Kavanaugh so that way he could be put in, ergo, more backdoors into Supreme Court with other Republicans that would be more than willing to pass whatever he wants. Like, you are aware of the concept of, you know, judges being bribed for any particular reasons, or hell, judges being, like, incredibly biased behind the scenes with other politicians to effectively help them get out of shit, or to basically further bolster their power, right?
On anybody. Nobody would do that and put themselves in that situation if they didn't have a really good reason. And that reason is that they don't want a man who sexually assaulted or attempted to sexually assault them sitting on the Supreme Court. Their accounts are credible and follow patterns that align with other sexual assault survivors. To dismiss them outright is to say that you don't care about survivors and that all you care about is putting Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court, which is what Republicans are doing right now. It's hard to describe this in any other way than sickening.
Well, just so we're clear, I'm not dismissing them outright. I'm just saying that allegations are only allegations until they are proven to be true or false. You can't accuse someone of something and then expect it to just automatically be taken as fact. That's why trials exist. That's why the whole justice system exists. If you're not satisfied with the way it's done here, then maybe you should consider becoming a legal expert. Then you'll see how far your notion of guilty until proven innocent goes.
Okay, so two fucking things, because both of them are retarded. So first of all, nowhere did she say that they were, like, entirely 100% true. The most she said was that, you know, they were very likely to be true. Fucking moron. Secondly, are we really going to place full faith in the same judicial system that fails a lot of people, like, at any given day, especially since it's more liable to fail sexual assault survivors because, you know, with high-stakes cases and profiles like this, the judge could very easily be swayed to, you know, not give a guilty verdict to the alleged rapist, considering they might actually have more power in the room than the victim themselves. You just... Oh my god, you're fucking stupid. Not to mention, this is also the very same judicial system that will refuse to take in high-profile cases, even if there is a good amount of evidence towards, you know, the person being accused being a rapist or some kind of abuser, just because the public opinion is already swayed against them that much. Completely dismissing a trial. Ergo, not functioning as it should. I hate to burst your bubble, little boy, but I think your fucking justice system is actually full of shit. Most justice systems, admittedly, are full of shit. And this comes from somebody who actually did look into the law of my own country and whatnot when I was still in school. Now, I'm no professional or legal consult, so please don't fucking come to me. I really don't want anybody's bullshit, but listen. Alright, I at least know a thing or two as to how some of this works. That includes when it doesn't fucking work, and it fails people. Just like when your mother failed not to drop you on the fucking concrete.
Republicans want to vote on confirming Kavanaugh before hearing all these women out. Republicans don't care what his accusers have to say. That's scary. He's not even being put on trial for his actions. He's just losing a chance at an extremely powerful job. People get denied jobs for all sorts of lesser reasons. He should absolutely be disqualified for having these accusations against him.
So you want someone to be disqualified from holding a federal position because of things that haven't been proven yet? It's a bit premature to be calling for something like that right now. Just because you think someone is guilty doesn't mean that they already are guilty. That's why we have due process to determine the indisputable truth. You could at the very least wait for the allegations to be proven or disproven to make a judgment call, But then you wouldn't get the extra clicks for talking about hot button issues and exploiting emotions. Again, real subtle there.
And you're just assuming intent rather than actually looking or listening to what the fuck she's even saying. Secondly, not getting a job opportunity isn't the end of the world, you fucking troglodyte.
Lots of folks have been saying that Kavanaugh's accusers weren't assaulted because they didn't report at the time, but there are a plethora of reasons why someone might not report. Go on Twitter and read through the why I didn't report tag, and you'll see so many people who have stories about why they didn't report the rapist or abuser. It's not uncommon.
While I could certainly understand not wanting to report rape or sexual abuse, the judicial system implements a statute of limitations. This is a statute that specifies the maximum length of time any prosecution can be administered for a non-capital offense. In the case of the United States, the limitation is 5 years. So anything that happened before this date 5 years ago cannot be held for prosecution unless it is otherwise expressly provided by law. And in case you're wondering, rape and sexual abuse are not capital offenses in the United States. Capital offenses here include murder, genocide, espionage, and treason. I'm not saying that there can't be exceptions for reporting non-capital offenses, but those don't happen very often. I'm also not saying that you should be expected to just suck it up, report the crime, and move on as though nothing happened. I know that the psychological effects of rape and sexual abuse will never go away, even if the rapist or abuser winds up thrown behind bars. However, just know that in the United States, there certainly is a time limit for prosecuting someone in court for non-capital offenses. 5 years. Know the number.
I'm not saying that people should just suck it up and just stop crying about the fact that they got assaulted or anything. No, that's why I would totally mention the whole statute of limitations as a weird gotcha point. Come on, man. I'm not fucking stupid. Like, we're really gonna argue off of the whole, oh, well, if it's legal, then it's okay. Never mind the fact that there were lots of things that were completely fine and legal in the system that clearly are morally reprehensible. You know, like child marriage, or, you know, prescribing cocaine to your patients, or, you know, slavery, or, you know, women not being considered people was a legal thing. So I guess all of these things are completely fine because they were all in the legal system. Go fuck yourself. Trust me, I wish the judicial system worked the way it was supposed to, because you know what? I would like a world where justice would be prioritized, especially for victims. But sadly, this is not the world we'll live in, and probably won't live in, unfortunately, for the near future. Just overall, your point is fucking stupid and actual garbage that should be burned.
I don't know what's going to happen with Kavanaugh. Right now, it seems likely that Republicans are going to confirm him for the Supreme Court regardless of the allegations. But if we continue to speak out and support survivors, maybe we can convince them not to. There are a few senators who could be swayed, so please call your senators and urge them not to confirm Kavanaugh. It would just be such an insult to survivors everywhere if this man were to be appointed to the Supreme Court.
I know this video was posted on September 30th before the vote to confirm Kavanaugh was carried out, but on October 6th, he was officially sworn in as Supreme Court Justice.
I know this video was before the fact, but Kavanaugh got pointed anyway.
Like, I'm sorry, but not really. What merit does your quote-unquote counter-argument actually have, given the fact that, you know, your video was made after the fact as opposed to, you know, during that point in time? Like, sure, I would accept that as a counter-argument if, you know, there was, like, a pattern of behavior or whatnot being established across a timeline of 3 videos. Oh, wait, hold on. That's what I'm doing. But my point still stands. You can't really use that as a counter-argument towards her, given the fact that, you know, it was all time sensitive to begin with. Lastly, and to reiterate for another fucking time, yes, the FBI was totally able to do their job when being obstructed by the White House and Trump's administration. Fuck you're stupid.
This motion was done because the FBI investigations proved fruitless, thus the allegations made against him remained allegations. I should point out that there have been people on both sides saying the investigation wasn't thorough. However, it should also be mentioned that each of the allegations against him were over things that happened in the early 1980s. Obviously, since these events happened more than 35 years ago, there just isn't going to be quite as much evidence for them still floating around anymore. Again, see the statute of limitations.
The statute of limitations really has nothing to do with, say, evidence to the crime, given the fact that, you know, the statute of limitations only applies to the reporting of said crime, while finding the evidence of it even happening in the first place is, you know, not reporting it, but rather finding, you know, the crucial elements of it to prove that it even happened. After all, this was just an investigation. Your point is just fucking moot.
You can interpret Kavanaugh's swearing in however you want to, but the fact remains that he was still sworn in because the investigations didn't turn up sufficient evidence, and they just wanted to get on with it.
Hey, wouldn't an investigation, you know, being rushed because they just wanted to, quote-unquote, get on with it, be suspicious in and of itself? Gee, you know, maybe it's almost like,
The investigations were meddled with, you fucking idiot!
and no, don't try to pull that bullshit of like, I'm actually
definitely not dismissing the experiences and horrible trauma that the survivors went through,
even though you're clearly doing it right now by going, well, the
evidence wasn't sufficient, so it must have actually just been allegations.
I know I keep saying this, but fuck.
You're retarded!
That's not to say that terrible things didn't happen to these women, but the fact that they waited nearly 40 years to come forward with these allegations simply put the odds against them. If you want more examples of this, look at the dozens of women who made allegations against Bill Cosby for things he allegedly did to them in the 60s and 70s. All of them were dismissed because the statute of limitations had long since expired for them. It was for more recent incidents that Bill Cosby wound up being in prison for aggravated indecent assault.
But I don't know. Maybe I'm preaching to the choir here. Maybe everyone has already picked their sides in this. I don't know how productive this video will actually be, but I had to say something. It's hard to sit back and watch this happen without saying anything.
Well, considering the fact that you didn't bother to look up any legal information, and considering that you're chiefly known for talking about things from your own purely holistic viewpoint, which is further exemplified in this video, maybe it was best that you didn't say anything about it. The only reason why this issue is so divisive here is because we have way too many people like you talking about this that have no idea what they're even talking about. In this case, you have to look at things from a legal perspective because the justice system doesn't care about how you feel about an event, it only cares about what you did during an event. End of story. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse.
Holy fuck.
Kill yourself!
People can just speak emotionally on a situation rather than just having to go completely strictly on the legality of a thing, right? That's not even what her video is trying to do, so expecting it to, I don't know, try to go and talk through more of like the legal route is really fucking stupid when you consider that fact. And to repeat a previous point I've made, yes, the justice system, the totally infallible and like holier than thou system that totally works every time and has never once failed survivors at any given point in time. Yes, that system that lets the rapist walk away free most the fucking time. And even if they are sentenced, they don't even get thrown in the fucking slammer long enough. Oh my god, shut up, shut the fuck up, follow your own fucking advice.
Please, if you're on the fence about this issue at all, try to have compassion for these women. They have gone through and continue to go through so much, and they need our support right now. Think about what you would do in their shoes. Think about the support you would want. Believe them and believe all survivors, even if they're your friends. He's a nice guy to me isn't a solid defense because people can be nice to one person and rape another. Rapists aren't always the creepy, friendless person in the bushes. Often they're very charismatic, well-liked people who use their social power to silence the people they abuse. I believe Dr. Blasey Ford and the other accusers. I believe all survivors. I hope you do too. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.
And that's the way this Roadrunner runs. Before I continue with my final thoughts, I'd like to clear up a few things that may have been lost in translation during my interjections. I have nothing but sympathy for survivors of rape, sexual abuse, and sexual harassment.
Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut the fuck up! Oh, you really are gonna play the whole, well, I'm really sympathetic to survivors. No, fuck off! Yeah, if you actually had a shred of fucking empathy or sympathy for any survivor, you know what you would be doing? Not saying these head-ass fucking takes. And not doing rape apologia. Die, 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 fucking die! I'm done with this section of the fucking video. I'm not even gonna want to cover the rest of the final thoughts because, quite frankly, it's just a fucking insult to anybody who's ever survived any form of sexual assault, ever. I've already, made a lot of the points I wanted to anyway.
I have a lot of explaining to do. In my last video, I talked about the claims I made against Ephraim Josine in 2022. In addition to debunking them, I gave explanations about why I did what I did. The actual events and debunks, as I previously described them, are true. The characterizations I gave about myself, however, are not, and I would know because I was the one who gave them. In my original piece, I accused myself of deliberately lying, not caring, being spiteful, and in a subtle manner called myself evil. According to dictionary.com, a lie is a false statement made with a deliberate intent to deceive. To do so is to maliciously distort the truth, and it implies that you know the truth but choose not to tell it anyway.
Oh, fuck, man? Like, ain't no fucking way that you're sitting here using the fucking, like, 2011, definition. I'm sorry, it's too funny. Especially since this is a video where you basically backpedal on, you know, what you even did and the intention of what you did to try and make yourself seem better when you falsely accused somebody of grooming. Jesus fuck.
When I made my claim, I genuinely believed it to be true. I had no reason to think it was false. Now, as I've explained before, looking into what I was given would have given me sufficient reason not to make the claims I did, and that is still on me for not doing my due diligence. So make no mistake, whether I believed it or not, I was still wrong to make such a serious claim about Ephron without any tangible proof, and I am still nothing but sorry that I hurt him.
Hey, dumbass, pick me.
That's still a lie, you fucking moron!
Whatever your intent was, you spreading the narrative that Ephron was a groomer is fucking wrong. Both on, like, a morality perspective and also any factual perspective where, you know, he wasn't. Fine, you want to play the game of fucking following definitions from dictionaries? Fine, I'll use the Merriam-Webster one to actually, you know, show what you fucking did. Lie. To make an untrue statement with intent to deceive. That's definition number 1. Definition number 2 is to create a false or misleading impression. Either way, you still lied, jackass, and that's still fucking gross.
As for my charge that I got Ephron kicked out of POG, that wasn't true either. I got confirmation from Umbrus herself that Ephron was kicked out for a number of reasons. And while my accusations against him were probably part of the issues, they were by no means the last straw. It was never my goal to get him removed, and that wasn't even what got him removed. I took way too much responsibility for what happened to him. More on that later. So why did it take me so long for me to delete my accusatory posts about him? After all, the courthouse call with Ephron happened in July, and that was when all the rumors about him were finally dispelled. If I cared that he was hurt, why didn't I do anything sooner? The best explanation I can give is that I had lots of other things going on. I was in a very rough spot emotionally at my workplace, and I was eventually fired while on leave for things that had been resolved weeks prior, and because of that I was denied my unemployment benefits. My older sister was hospitalized, and her condition was so bad that she seriously almost died. Then, of course, there was the whole Cloak and Dagger debacle at the tail end of July. That kicked off the SEC's cleanup era and led to several community members being ousted for a number of reasons. That lasted all the way up through February, and hopefully this month will be the end of it. Everything just happened all at once, and the thought of addressing my false accusations against Ephron was put on the back burner. Then, of course, in August, I decided to start pursuing a music degree, since that was something I had been wanting to do for a while, so I put a lot of my focus onto that. My studies have been rather intensive, and they require hours of practice and work on and off campus. I've been fortunate to have had prior college credits I attained in high school as part of a dual credit program, but that doesn't change the fact that I have some serious studying to do.
Plus point because I'm a fucking moron who didn't realize this after, but you also just made a direct contradiction here. That contradiction being of course, the whole thing of, oh, well, I had other things going on, and then oh, well, I still had plenty of time, though, to do it, and I didn't have anything much going on. So, like, which is it then, Gil? Like, were you too busy, or were you not busy at all?
See, this just makes it sound like you're bullshitting even further, because you are.
With that being said, there was absolutely nothing stopping me from doing something about Ephron's situation in my free time. None of this is an excuse for my lack of action. However, the explanation that I didn't care and wanted to spite him is incorrect.
Again, another direct contradiction here because you're actually just making excuses here by going, oh, well, I had other things on my mind. Fucking retard.
The actual explanation is that I had other things more pertinent in my mind at the time, and it wound up slipping out of my mind until I was directly confronted about it in January. Not out of spite, but because there was other things on my mind.
You know, it's interesting you bring up the January call and everything. Hey buddy, how remorseful were you when you melted down after the fact being held to account, where you compared Lyo to two known pedo rapists, V Omega and fucking Ray Kohai, all because he fucking yelled at you for being a piece of shit? fuck off. And really, being so, remorseful and trying to be as helpful and understanding to Ephraim as possible, huh?
The only reason why your bitch ass was even remotely remorseful wasn't for the fact that you actually felt guilt towards what you had done, but more for the fact that, you got caught.
Normally, I wouldn't even make a assumption or rather a statement on somebody's character or intent, especially since it can be really hard to make without explicit proof. But guess what? This video is just explicit proof of that. Because if you actually felt remorse, if you actually took account for what you fucking did, you wouldn't be minimizing it and whatnot, and also, you wouldn't be trying to throw a fucking self-pity party.
Apathy is a lack of interest or concern for something. Spite is the desire to deliberately hurt, annoy, or offend someone.
Hey, genius. Changing the word and changing the reason and or intent of what you did doesn't make it any better when you are replacing spite with apathy because you show no concern in said apathy for accusing somebody of grooming when they literally didn't. In fact, having little to no emotion towards that is actually worse than spite because you're just coldly doing so, with that knowledge of it being untrue. Because spite can be a very understandable emotion, even if it is still very, very, very fucked up and wrong of you to do, because, you weren't thinking clearly. Apathy shows a complete lack of emotion, ergo you were cognizant. Shut the fuck up.
Lying about Ephraim would have been the most direct way to spite him. And while my claims did indeed hurt him in the end, it caused me great distress when I found out about it. If I was truly apathetic, I wouldn't have cared at all if he got hurt.
So what the fuck is even your reason anymore? Like, were you doing it out of spite? Were you doing it out of apathy? Make up your fucking mind! Like, holy fucking backpedaling, Batman! Can you just fucking say one thing and stick to it? Fuck! There we go! I've exposed you for the fucking pathological liar you are, you sad sack of shit!
I wouldn't have bothered deleting my accusatory posts about Ephraim after I was reminded of them. I wouldn't have worked to make things right and consult Ephraim personally throughout the process. To be evil is to be profoundly immoral and wicked. If there is anyone I've been truly evil toward, it's myself.
How fucking dare you? No, actually, I'm... See, I'd be screaming right now, but like... You ever get so pissed off at something that you just, don't? It's kind of what I'm feeling right now, and, ooh. So, let me get this straight. You think you were being cruel to yourself more than you were being cruel to the guy who you accused of grooming somebody when he fucking didn't. You describing yourself as evil, or whatever the fuck, is somehow the fucking same as a false allegation. If you were in front of me right now, I would just tell you to get the fuck out of my sight. Just fucking go.
To put it mildly, my confrontation in the courthouse broke me. I was in a state of panic throughout the entire call, and that made me forget and misremember some key details. I had even forgotten just how much I was going through in July, when the truth about Ephraim came to light. And in my fractured mental state, I resolved to sabotage my online image. In my own personal life, I've had to deal with the threat of a false sexual harassment charge. I was in a dorm with an abusive roommate for most of 2017 and into 2018, and the effects of that caused me to develop PTSD. I wouldn't even get a formal diagnosis for that until 2023 with the VA. So to find out that I caused that sort of pain to someone else made me feel completely despicable. In the call, I wound up crying. Not just because I was being confronted and under great distress, but because I felt Ephraim's pain and anger, and I was truly sorry for hurting him. My goal was to make myself look as bad as possible, so that everyone would cut me off and I could have an easier time killing myself without anyone online knowing. Nobody cut me off as far as I know, but people had enough disdain to start mocking me for forgetting. I vividly recall having "I can't believe this is my fault" misheard as "apparently this is my fault." So I was rather successful in making myself look awful. To be clear, none of this is on anyone else but me. This was what I thought I wanted. I got what I thought I deserved. Don't blame any of the other call's participants. Blame me. After the call, my resolution was to kill myself during my time away after I was finished publishing the original video and document about Ephraim. I started openly discussing my thoughts of suicide the night following the call. I continued to spiral for almost 2 weeks, until I finally saw my therapist again. She was the one who reminded me of what I'd been through, and challenged the thoughts I had about myself. It was only then that I started truly understanding just how cruel I was to myself. This was why I shouldered so much more responsibility than I needed to for what happened to Ephraim. I even admitted that I starved myself for most of the next day, which nobody wanted of me, but I still did to myself anyway. I have a long history of abusing myself and having no room to forgive myself. That's something I've been in dire need to work on for years, and I'm only barely starting to understand why. All this is to say, while I was very reckless in how I handled things, it wasn't out of an evil desire to cause pain.
So, again, which fucking is it? Because you've been consistently changing the fucking intention from your end as to why you even decided to spread around the false allegations of Ephraim grooming Light. Because now you're going, oh, well, it was spite, and now you're saying it's like apathy, or you're saying, oh, well, I'm not apathetic, so then which is it then? Which fucking is it? I said this earlier in another interjection, but I'm just thinking that constantly when you're talking about how you were going about your intent when you spread around these accusations and whatnot. Because, hey, dipshit, you admitted yourself, actually, in your original video, and I will link this in the description, and hell, I'll even find the timestamp for, you know, the lovely audience. You fucking admitted to further spreading this and not caring because, you know, you didn't like him. But no, that's just a fucking byproduct of your self-cruelty or whatever the fuck. Just shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Fucking pathologically lying, contradicting piece of shit.
I'm not the awful person I made myself out to be. I do still intend to keep the original video and document public, as the events and details within are still very vital to understanding why my accusations were wrong in the first place. My intent is to have this as an addendum, taken in tandem with the original. I may have falsely accused Ephraim, and I should still be held accountable for that, but I didn't deliberately lie about him. If anything, I lied about myself, because I had that much spite for myself after knowing just how much I hurt him. Nothing about this situation can make me look good, but the last thing I think anyone would have wanted was for me to intentionally sabotage myself. To those of you who saw me in this troubled state, I'm sorry for putting you through that. January was rough for a lot of people, and there's no doubt my struggles made it even rougher. None of you wanted to see me like this, and I'm very blessed that even in your anger, you still treated me like a person instead of like dirt. I'm especially grateful that Ephraim was willing to work with me through this and understand just what I was going through.
I shouldn't have even had to have been his job to fucking console you when you were the one who proliferated like these fucking false allegations that the poor guy now has to fucking deal with for the foreseeable future because of you. Because of what you've done. You know, even as a friend of Ephraim's, you know, myself, you know, he can be a lot of things. You know, but he didn't fucking deserve that. He didn't fucking deserve that at all. What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm done. I'm fucking done. On to the final thoughts. So, we've reached the end. The denouement. The absolute. Whatever fucking word you can use for a final thoughts segment. I don't know. Alright. So, this will be unscripted because I figured that, you know, this section would probably be a lot more meaningful if I were to do so. Plus, I really don't feel like writing a script. That's actually what I did for this entire commentary, fun fact. That aside, Gil, or whatever the fuck. You have not only disappointed me with these videos and your actions, you've not only disgusted me, you have actually fucking broken my heart with this. Like, it genuinely saddens me that you had went down this path and continued to do so, not really caring, like, how it would affect anybody down the road. Especially not with Ephraim, especially not with Saf. For the former, you accused him of grooming, never mind the fact that, like, what he did actually wasn't, and was more that he made Light feel uncomfortable when Light was 17 and he was 19. Now, mind you, this isn't okay, but what also should be noted is the fact that fucking, there was, like, about a year's worth of an age gap at the time, and this was just one isolated incident. Said isolated incident, mind you, by the way, did end up being brought up in courthouse in that specific call, and Ephraim has already been talked to and has already properly apologized to my knowledge. I mean, I wasn't exactly in the community again quite yet, after all. But that claim that you decided to peddle around, you know, actually fucking isolated the poor guy, when really all that was needed to be done was just, you know, a stern fucking talking to be like, hey, maybe just fucking watch your mouth. Like, don't make people feel fucking uncomfortable. That's how I probably would have done it. That being said, your claims, you know, isolated him, like I just said, and not only that, but it got taken up by even more malicious actors, you know, like the literal pedophile, Carmen Writer.
Yes, if you think lolicon isn't pedophilia, you fuck kids. Die.
That's besides the point. So while the damage to Ephraim's reputation isn't exactly permanent nor nearly as large as it was, say, back in 2021 or 2022 when these events had happened, there's still people out there who think he fucking groomed a kid when he didn't. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I understand that your at-the-time friends didn't exactly, you know, treat you the best or tried to maybe stop you from spiraling or whatever the fuck, but also, it shouldn't have had to have been Ephraim's job, the person you objectively wronged, by the way, to fucking make sure you weren't spiraling the fuck out of control after you got held to account. Now, let's talk about what you did to the latter, aka Saf. So you, in your infinite fucking tarddom, decided to fucking, not only just, like, dog on Saf for being part of Rachel's group, never mind the fact that Rachel was already, like, you know, known as a fucking serial abuser, pedophile, and rapist, but also you fucking victim blamed her for being in it, and you had a distinct hatred for her being in that group, never mind the fact that there was a pretty high percentage of likelihood that she was actively being abused, you fucking moron. Now, you might be wondering, oh, well, where did this whole thing come from? Well, that's pretty simple. There was a call held in courthouse around May of 2025, I believe, where Spaceguru5 was taken to task, where, you know, raked over the hot and fiery fucking coals just for that, and I'm glad he was, because that was actually both asinine and just fucking disgusting. At that very moment when you admitted that, that fucking disgusted me, dog. I couldn't... Ooh. Even right now, I'm trying really hard not to say some really extra shit about you right now. As in, like, me not to go absolutely fucking bonanzas right at this moment. But I'll say this. For your rape apologia, for your spreading of false grooming accusations, for your fucking victim blaming and, like, victim shaming, I hope that you never can get any ability to sleep at night. I hope you're kept awake from the fucking guilt and weight of your own fucking sins, you cunt. I hope you are fucking devoured alive with that fucking guilt. Quite frankly, I hope you fucking burn. I hope nothing good ever fucking happens to you. I hope you spend the rest of your fucking days in misery, and I just want you to suffer for the rest of your life. TLDR, fuck you, Gilberto Martinez. Burn in fucking hell. And if you know what's fucking good for you, don't strike down people who fucking criticize you, you fucking cunt.
believe me? Why didn't you believe me? Happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, 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 joy, joy, joy.